For the record, we've formally opened the village board meeting of November 9th with a moment of silence and made note that we're working virtually here, everybody from their own remote locations in accordance with Executive Orders 202.1 and 202.72. We just reviewed the minutes from the October 13th meeting, and we had a motion second and all approved those minutes from the October 13th meeting. In your packets, we have the Treasury report is our next step. And Ray, if you have your papers there, if you want to go over what you presented to us today.
Certainly, yeah. As of the end of October, in terms of the account balances, the general fund was at $978,669.02. The water fund was at $184,799.18. Trust and agency, $22,503.25. Petty cash, the same as last time, $57.75. And the village green, $4,149.92. Hard scrabble, $2,881.94. Health insurance, $6,373.37. I transferred $5,000 into that account. Sewer fund, $23,290.25, and there's nothing in the capital fund. In terms of the reserve checking balances, they really haven't changed at all since the last report. Fire department, $5,029.08. Police, $14,572.83. USDA, $108,925.03. Highway, $20,769.24. Snow reserve, $3,278.59. Tower reserve, $17,706.52. Unemployment, $4,542.88. Court reserve, $3,297.68. Office reserve, $972.26. All of those numbers were actually the same as last month because I got the numbers from last month just before the meeting, and actually the numbers that I just got today, they would only be a couple of dollars difference because of interest into those accounts. In terms of monthly expenses for the month of October, in the general fund, $118,614.06. Water fund, $9,374.43. Trust and agency, $1,165.44. And there were no expenses for the sewer. So that's respectfully submitted for the month of October.
Thank you, Ray. Ray's been hard at work. See him in here a lot of hours getting through the different new pieces of the project that he's involved here with our new treasurer over July 1st or something. For the report. I would add one thing I noticed as we're going through vouchers and looking at the overall budget for the current fiscal year we're in. You'll see in the voucher pack some of the water payments we rerouted to become an asset account, which that's that USDA line that Ray read in the balances there. It says USDA parentheses M&T. There's $108,000, called $109,000 in there. That's that budget line, funding line where we move $25,000 a year from our operating money to a short-term asset account. It's designed to pick up repairs from assets. We felt from day one it was problematic because it takes it out of our normal operating procedures to log them and pay them and voucher them. So what we want to do is, in the course of it today, we're looking at two of those, like I said, in the water expense packets. Two of them qualify for short-term asset disbursements rather than general water repair disbursements. But it brought to my attention that in our main budget as adopted, I want to make a motion here, I'll explain it. we have within the water budget line, and it's in the expense line 9901.9. We have $85,000 in there. It's the interfund transfer line. It's really picking up both the short-term asset, $25,000, and what we transfer from water to general fund. What I'm trying to say is the money's budgeted, but right now I would like to get the 25,000 out of that 9901.9 into the asset fund. That's where it gets conveyed out to the reserve fund line at the M&T Bank. The reason for that is by putting it over to its own line now, directed Ray, and it makes sense. We'll just take the expenses out of it now, and instead of moving $25,000 over, we'll take those current expenses out of the 25. It saves us a lot of going to M&T Bank, going to see and taking money out. So a lot of explanation there, but I'll make a motion in a moment here. But at first, I think the Treasury report is fine, and as always, he attaches the supporting line items and budget lines. You can all go through and look through. I always look at the big ticket items. Right now, PD staying online. We're at about 42-44% of the year. So, departments, you can see how everybody performs. Right now, everything seems to be online. So I would move that we accept the Treasury report. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other thoughts or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And back to my description and motion, what I'll put on a table, and we can talk about it a little more if anybody has a question, but I'd like to do a budget adjustment. We're not looking, we're just shifting money. We're not refinancing or acknowledging that anything's wrong. It's just one line 99.1.9 has 85,000. I want to move that we take 25,000 from the 85 and move it to line number 9710.8, which is the short-term asset. We have 60 in the one and 25 in the other. We're not reducing any budget line or increasing any budget line. It's not going to have a negative effect. It will just help us transact this properly. For some reason, they were lumped as budget adoption date 4 months ago, and I would offer that in the form of a motion and ask for a second.
Second.
Other thoughts, questions?
So Ed, that's going from 9710.8 to which line?
The way around, goes from 9901.9
Oh.
to 9710.8.
Okay, yeah.
You're taking the entire amount, Ed?
The 25, yeah. And then he can pay those 2 short-term assets that we picked up in this voucher month. He can take that off the 25. And then I'd be inclined to move what's left at the end of the fiscal year over to short. We want to be able to work with that short-term asset, not be paralyzed all year.
So the balance would be rolled over to a CD account.
Right, yeah. It saves that awkward going to CD, coming back, putting in water. We thought this from day one with USDA when they first asked us to do it. Anyway, so we have motion in a second. I'll do a roll call just so it's clear. Blundell votes aye. Mr. Happy there?
Yeah, I can't hear you, Ed.
Is anyone I'm having trouble. It seems like there's something in the background, and Ed, you're really low. I can hardly hear you, but I can hear like something running.
It sounds like a rushing of air or water or something.
I think that's my furnace. It came on, and then I had to find my buttons to turn up the volume so I could hear Ed. So that's really interfering with everybody.
Yeah, I couldn't hear Ed, so that's.
Yeah.
I couldn't either, so I don't hear that noise anymore. So.
I always hear Ed.
But
even when I'm asleep.
I don't know what happened. I'm trying to look at see.
No, there it is again.
There it is again. Yeah.
I'm going to mute Ray. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
We had a motion a second to do that budget adjustment. I think you heard that part, right? And then
No, I got all of it, but it was really low, so I can hear you better now, a little bit. Not as loud as normal, but
weird. I don't know. Yeah.
Aye.
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 Trap, I heard
Aye.
everybody.
Aye.
I'll go through.
Jump the gun.
Kovacek was an aye, and Blondell was a yes. I heard Norris. You
Yep.
said yes.
Yep.
And Lang.
Yes.
Okay. So you got that, Lara?
Yes.
Yeah. If you can't hear me, give me a yell. All right. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, everybody. Next on the list would be looks like police report. In the regular business, we'll talk more about the police redesign project too. But for the month of October, it's like a fair amount of incidents. 411 show on the report. Breakout is 293 in the village of Red Hook, 109 in the town of Red Hook, and 9 in the village of Tivoli. Tickets issued for the month totaled 80. It was 50 in the village, including and adding on that 1 parking ticket. In the town of Red Hook, 29. Arrests totaled 8. 5 were in the village and 3 were in the town. I think we showed this last month, but in my packet was attached the color photographs of, we put that speed trailer out in another location and given interesting data. We did it once on Park Avenue, and this one was on West Market Street. And it just shows time of day, traffic count, and who's going over 30 miles an hour, who's going over 35. We put it out there right before school reopened for many reasons, and it looks like most people obey the speed limit there, but about a third are above it. And we do know our guys hang out there in a certain spot, pick up any speeders coming in or out of the village. As far as the report itself, again, attached is the detail. And I'm just looking myself at the back page. All right, well, that's in your packets. As far as other sections, under the insurance, Brent will talk about a little bit too, but in the not too distant future, we expect to be picking up ownership of the 10 acres and the existing sewer plant at the Red Hook Commons sewer plant area. So I'm working with the insurance agent trying to get the quote and the coverage bound. So when we own that, we're all set. That'll be happening in the near future. And we do have, when Ray read the treasurer's report, there is some money in that sewer line, which we've designed to pick up when we start having those operating expenses. And with that, I guess we could go to Mr. Trustee Trapp for one of his last reports here. Jay, you got your paperwork there?
Yes, sir, I do. Have to ask Lara, I have 2 monthly reports, one with 2 separate totals. One is 1125. The other
That's
one's
the correct one is
Okay,
1125.
cool. Thank you.
Yep.
And well, not much going on for me this month other than cardboard boxes and tape and things like that. So, and the Planning Federation is all done for me as of last month. So I'll just get right straight to my reports here. For October 2020, building permits were issued. 8 were issued. There were 2 certificates of occupancy. There were 7 certificates of compliance. 5 municipal searches were conducted. 3 orders to remedy. No stop work orders, no court appearances. There were 4 fire inspections and 5 complaints. The planning board, October 8th, had a subdivision application on Linden Avenue, and the public hearing was set for November 12th. And the ZBA, Zoning Board of Appeals, October 22nd, had 2 items, an area variance for a fence and an area variance for a fence. I think it appeared to be neighbors at 2 consecutive 86 and 88 Cambridge Drive. So it looked like they were right there together. And the building department took in $1,125 the last month. Given the conditions that people are dealing with, that's it's been going very well. There's been good money coming in to the building department. I think that's good because given the drop in sales tax and all that sort of stuff, just water and the building department is our income other than taxes.
Good. Yeah, looking over CO searches, which implies property sales,
Sure.
and then building permit.
Mine was done last month. There's one down the end of Fraley that was done, and then one in the first block of Fraley. Q Gerhard's house looked like it came up for a C of O search.
Yeah, that's right across the street from some of you guys. All right. Well, thank you, Jay.
Yes, sir.
We could then, why don't we have next in my pile, looks like Trustee Norris on her various areas there. You want to go, Jen?
Sure. All right. For garbage last month, we sold $3,066 in tags and paid out $729.70. We had 6.78 tons of garbage and 2.92 tons of recycling, which breaks down as follows: 0.51 tons of cardboard, 1.04 tons of newspaper, and 1.37 tons of commingled. Ed, I know it's a little early. Are we going to do the electronic recycling in January?
I don't see how, because we rely on BARD quite a bit for our volunteer labor, and it's a huge project. I just don't think with COVID and the world being what it is, and then BARD, I just don't see it happening.
Okay. I figured as much. I just wanted to check on that. And yeah, it's been, we can't really do much of anything. This has been a real quiet year for events and stuff. But a couple things are going on. On Veterans Day, which is on Wednesday, the VFW will hold a safe, socially distanced memorial service at Memorial Park at 6 p.m. Thanksgiving meals are being provided by Red Hook Responds for delivery or takeout. To order yours, you can go through redhookresponds.org. I ordered mine. It's a $4 suggested donation to take care of your cost of your meal. And then also Red Hook Responds is hosting is the wrong word, but doing community bell ringing, which will start on Black Friday at 6 p.m. It'll run Fridays and Sundays from Black Friday through New Year's Eve, Fridays at 6 p.m. and Sundays at noon. Just ringing a bell for 5 minutes just to bring a little joy and a sense of community, because we're about to hit some really cold, really crazy, dark months. So this is just a nice little way to feel connected to people. So that's all I have.
Good, thank you. Yeah, so the bell ringing, so it's 6 p.m. on Fridays and then noon on Sundays. So I guess we'll have to go buy a bell somewhere.
Find a bell.
It's the vibrations, they supposed to be healing.
In line with
Is everyone supposed to ring a bell?
Yes.
Yeah, Red Hook Responds is promoting it, and we told them we help promote. I'm not.
Because I have bells, and my neighbors have been complaining about the noise. Should I put the clappers back on?
I think that's the property that's for sale. I think if Jay was reporting correctly, your bells drove them out. Let's see. One other thing, what Jen was talking about, the e-waste collection day, that's usually that MLK weekend of service that BARD helps out a lot, but it's usually on January 12th or so. So I don't think BARD's even really coming back till about then, and so we just won't be able to do that one. And then the other thing, I think we touched on it last month, but we will not have our normal Winterfest either, but we are helping coordinate putting the holiday tree in that corner by Yum Yum Noodles. So we're working with Bayride and Dave's Tree and our highway guys to get that up, and we're pushing that the village center businesses and landlords do an effort, and they are going to do a decorating, lighting, holiday season motif. So there's some action there. And like always, we promoted in our September newsletter. that people walk, exercise, and shop locally. So we're trying to entice that to the four corners again with watered down Winterfest without the visit of Santa and young kids that show up for that. But we'll still have some fun things going on there. So that'll be good. Thank you, Jen.
Yep.
And I know I'll go up to Veterans Day, 6 p.m. Wednesday. We did get word that Congressman Delgado will be showing up too, so that'd be fun. That'd be good. But it's pretty low key, especially now with social distancing, and they're good. The VFW really respecting that, so that's good. Next in my list, I guess we would go. Charlie mentioned that the report didn't flow through to him digitally. Charlie, I don't know if Devlin since then, but I was out on the to your 5:30 email, but I can read it here if you need to, Charlie.
Yeah, I just don't
Okay.
have a copy.
Okay. So for October, we treated it's kind of good news. I think the gallons per day number is now 313,200, which is essentially flatline curving. The gross number there is 9,708,900 total gallons pushed and pumped. So for Charlie's benefit, you can see the curve it's really just a flat line now. It's held, it dropped down from that 360 we saw 1 month there, but it's still up there. We think, like we've said, with COVID and more people being home and different consumption patterns, we're okay with that. They did the routine tests for E. coli and coliform at the test sites. They were all found to be negative, which is a good thing. Looking over the attached printout that they give us with the actually daily numbers, and I see a high of 490. It's actually 457,000 gallons on one day, and then I see, let's look for low numbers, 207 on another day. They still seem to be really wild swings to me, but
And 457 is really high.
yeah, and then the 207 is low, and we know that sometimes they come in with, depends on the cycle of the reader.
Right, they're combined somehow.
Hour timeline between reads, but it's still a big swing. The good news, you might remember in the droughty summer, we asked for a well level study, learned that some of the automation wasn't working properly on that. They've been working on that, and at our request, they also replaced the main flow meter. The upside is it's a new meter, but it looks like the flow numbers are not drastically lower, so it doesn't seem to be it was a meter issue. It seems like we said it's stabilized, but it's still a little higher than the pre-COVID times. And the person from Northeast Water has submitted more reports to us, not finding any major leak. 1 or 2 we dug and repaired. He's thinking we could listen more and turn off some valves on the East Market Street area, but that's been circulated out to our water operator and our highway guys. It's a matter of coordinating a bunch of people turning off valves, having the listening company here at the same time. That part hasn't happened yet. And like we said last time, there's not a huge, but there's a big cost involved with actually digging, excavating, and looking for leaks. We have to have a better idea. Is it worth the effort and the money to go find that leak? So we've asked the consultant to review that with us again. Which ones? He's only really identified 2 major ones that sound worth digging. But even that, I'm a little reluctant on the second one because, like we said last month, we dug the first and really didn't find much sign of major water losses. Anyway, that's the water report.
Thanks, Ed.
We'll talk more about water later in the regular business part 2. Looks like then we can move to Deputy Mayor Kowalczyk for his sequence of reports. You ready to go, Brent?
Yep, and I'll start with the Village Green monthly report for the month of October. Current balances of Village Green Committee's related budget account, community beautification. I'd like to make a correction on my report according to the spreadsheets that Ray provides, we have a balance of $3,372 there. Expenditure accounted for trees that we purchased. And there's going to be also a donation of 2 trees that will bring that back up. So I don't know how we're going to handle that, but when that donation comes in, then I guess we'll look at that. A shade tree contractual, we're negative 3,100, and again, that's because of some extra pruning and that we did. And the Village Green checking account, as Ray had mentioned in his report, is $4,192.82. There were no Village Green Committee meetings held during the month of October, and have our annual fall planting on Saturday, November 7th. Volunteers assembled at the village parking lot for photos and team assignments. And due to the restrictions regulating gatherings for 19, a small number of trees were planted. We had 6 to reduce the size of teams and planting time duration. I think it's because Larry and I were on a team, we did 2 trees and we were done within 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I think. So we went pretty quick. And then there'll be more on this. The luncheon, unfortunately, was canceled too. We traditionally have a shared luncheon with the Town of Red Hook Tree Commission and the Village Green Committee. And we planted trees on Phillip Street, Church Street, and in Richard Abraham's Memorial Park. And we also planted a memorial tree to Kathy Treble for her years of volunteering and community service. So there will be, I guess, a more formal plaque that will be installed, and family members will assemble and dedicate that tree. And as usual, residents and businesses interested in having a tree or trees planted on their adjacent right-of-ways, volunteering for planting days, or making a donation to support the various community beautification projects that are sponsored by the Village Green Committees. People may contact David Pearson, the village clerk, or myself. So, good with that. Onto the Highway Department, monthly report for October. Village Highway Department began picking up leaves in November. Leaf pickup will continue through the fall as weather permits. And brush pickup will follow once leaf removal is complete and weather permits. The Highway Department will not pick up leaves next to brush due to possible equipment damage. And unfortunately, at this time of year, I do have to read snow ordinance requirements. So the village's snow ordinance is currently in effect through March 31st of 2021. So that's a typo there. No parking is permitted on village streets from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. and on New York State highways from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. during the same period. When snow or ice removal operations are underway, any vehicle parked or abandoned on any street may be removed by or under the direction of the Red Hook Village Police Department or any responding law enforcement agency. And costs associated with vehicle towing and storage will be charged to the vehicle's owners. And the owner and or occupant of every building or lot in the village with an adjoining sidewalk shall remove snow and ice within 24 hours of a snowstorm. And at the direction of the Village Board of Trustees, the Village Highway Department may remove snow and ice left uncleared at a cost of $2 per linear foot. And this cost will be assessed to the property owner that we do remove the snow on and collected with the next tax levy. An agreement letter of October 6, 2020 from the Town of Red Hook Highway Department regarding confirmation of a cooperative agreement for salt and sand for 2021 was brought in. The Town Highway Department will act as a distribution center for the sand and salt required by the village. The current price of $46.82 will be billed monthly to the village with price adjustments based on the cost of sand, salt, and magic liquid salt treatment at state or county contract pricing, plus a 3% admin charge. No revenue was generated from the sale of scrap metal during the month of October. And so far, I think we actually have more than this that's indicated here. The total revenue, I have at $1,448.40. We did receive another bill, so I think we're over $2,000 right now for this fiscal year. And since we began the recycling program in 2007, we've raised almost $33,000. and the proceeds from this program go toward the purchase of tools and equipment for the village highway, water, and materials management departments. Anyone interested in donating scrap metal may contact the village highway department at 758-8600 or the village clerk. They have there on the Red Hook Infrastructure and Intermunicipal Task Force monthly report, Red Hook Sewer Project. Basically, we're doing work, but we're waiting for an approval from USDA, their final review and approval of the process. The mayor signed the USDA Rural Development Right-of-Way Certificate, certifying the village has acquired and holds continuous and adequate right-of-ways for construction, operation, and maintenance of the sewer system. The New York State DEC Speedy's general permit for stormwater drainage from construction activity, and the New York State 132 highway work permit application for utility work will be filed within a few weeks of construction and or filed by the contractor before construction begins. We're still anticipating going out to bid this year, so we keep contacting USDA and trying to find out what the status of this is. Our village attorneys completed USDA form on the opinion of council relative to right-of-ways regarding right-of-ways are appropriate and legal, and confer upon the village of Red Hook the necessary right-of-ways for the construction, operation, and maintenance of the Red Hook sewer system. And the deed to the Red Hook Common Sewer Works Corporation has been donated to the village of Red Hook, held in escrow subject only to USDA. And this opinion was forwarded to USDA on October 23rd of 2020. Cell tower generator project discussions are still ongoing between the village, CT Mail, and village cell communication consultant regarding costs and acceptable hookup connections, possibilities to connect to a generator as required by FCC federal regulations. Village of Red Hook Water Sewer Administration Improvement Project conference call was held on October 16th between our village engineers, Delaware Engineering, to discuss and review options to better coordinate meter readings, billings, and general operation procedures. And I guess we're still waiting on the Red Hook devices. We passed resolution number 19 of 2020 to maintain highway signals for 2 additional beacon, it's a rectangular rapid flashing beacons on South Broadway and West Market Street. And we did that last month. And 5 copies of the approved certified resolution were sent to the DOT. We're hoping to have those installed by the end of the year too. I don't know, have you heard any update from DOT about the status of those?
Well, the good news is out in front of Village Hall, somebody's done the markouts, so it looks like they're getting ready to do the project. It's
Oh, good.
if you walk by, you'll see orange and different markings on the sidewalk and the curbs and the corners, and so that looks good. But yeah, they have paperwork they needed from us, subject to our last meeting. We did those last.
Right.
The Brent said they changed. We all know they changed the style to a different light than they originally planned there, so it had to be technically correct. They made us re-sign some of the agreement papers. Essentially, we're still just doing to replace the batteries if and when they go out. They're not accepting solar charges anymore, so it's not a huge liability to the village.
But that whole process didn't take very long, did it?
Yeah.
No, it was under the FAST grant, Jay, so that's why.
Oh, that's right. Government fast. Okay, I get it.
It's been actually a couple years, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'd say 3.
Yeah.
Funny moment, Lara and I'd sent the latest DOT agreement down to council just to review it, as we always do. And he said the only objection he has is when he read it, he said, what when it goes dark at night, how is the thing going to be powered? He didn't pick up that there's a battery component somehow. I was like, uh-oh. But I said, no, we're not going to be in default just because the sun went down. It's going to battery. So because it said something, if we refused to maintain the batteries. The agreement defaulted, a whole lot of wording. So he concentrated on that. It was kind of comical. He's like, "Oh, but we're all done."
All right. So just to finish up this report, in the intermunicipal task force, both Charlie and I sit on the task force, and there were no meetings held during the month of October. So I think there's still a task force, but we haven't met virtually or in person for, I think, February. Some of the other committees I sit on, we're basically in the same position as the task force. The Town of Red Hook Zoning Review Committee had no meetings. Community Preservation Fund Advisory Board, we had no meetings. The current balance, however, which is daily, the Community Preservation Fund is at $1,627,225.65. So every month it looks like it's growing by almost $100,000. So that's all good. The Saltkill Watershed Community, there were no meetings, but an amendment to the Saltkill Watershed newsletter was circulated. And this issue included additional information on candidates and voters' consideration as they voted on November 3rd. The Town of Red Hook Local Waterfront Revitalization Program Working Group did not meet during the month of October. However, the working group is waiting for review and comments by the New York State Department of State before organizing a public informational meeting for the Red Hook Town community to review current proposed updates to the LWRP of the Town of Red Hook. So we're waiting patiently. The Northern Dutchess Alliance Executive Committee, I am the local government representatives. We had no meetings during December. And the Village of Red Hook Zoning Review Committee, unfortunately, we'll be losing Jay as a member, but we are moving forward. We did have meetings on October 2nd, 9th, and the 16th via Ring Central. And we reviewed and proposed amendments to Section 200-11, which was the Highway Business District regarding use and bulk regulations, number of curb cuts, local street access, and shared parking. Consideration was given to include one property located on East Market Street, currently in the R10,000, into the HB district. And we're also proposing to change the Highway Business District to the Gateway District. These are all being reviewed. We reviewed and approved amendments to Section 200-9. This is the residential 10,000 or R10,000 district regarding special permits for live work units for properties currently in the R10,000 located on East Market Street. And these properties will be on the sewer system. And reviewed and proposed amendments to the neighborhood mixed use district to include 8 additional properties currently in the R10,000 located on South Broadway and 5th Street in the NMU. Delaware Engineering is currently has amended the proposed zoning map to reflect the proposed expansions of the Highway Business District and NMU districts. And copies of the proposed amendments have been sent to Four Corners Planning and our village engineers for their review, comments, and drafts. And we did hear back from Four Corners, and we are trying to respond to those comments and get them back to that. And also our attorney is looking at those comments as well. The community solar project, the New York State Planning Federation awarded the Town of Red Hook, the Village of Tivoli, and the Village of Red Hook the Heisenbutel Award for Planning Excellence for the Red Hook Community Solar Installation. The Planning Federation cited the project as a great example and come together for positive change. That was nice. And so that's
You good?
that's all I have, Ed.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I'm in our meeting room, and today, believe it or not, in came the real version of the Heisenbutel Planning Award. I had some paper versions, but they mailed one on a plaque here and laminated, and we were all working hard on this project, 18 months ago, plus or minus. It was a lot of work, and as Brent recapped it, we caught the attention of the New York State Planning Federation, which is pretty amazing. And I think all of us on this board work real hard with the vision of going green and with locally generated power. And then on top of that, with the great interaction with the town of Red Hook, and then all the experts, even though they were paid and made money, like we said, your Rodenhausen Shaw gave legal counsel, and then engineering, and I think Sun Common too, even though they were the contractor and they're one of the key parts of the setup here. It was a really great project as far as an experiment and working together, made something new that not too many communities can say they have. We're generating our own power right here, and we have our village buildings and much of our infrastructure, plus about 250 other folks as customers. And it's on those clear sunny days like we've had the past few days, man, that thing must be humming. We don't like to see our well fields humming, but we like to see the solar arrays on top of them. So we're farming that sun and pushing it out. So it's kind of cool. We'll have to figure out where to hang this plaque. Maybe we'll put up in our conference room or something. Kind of might be a good spot when people come visit us. Whenever we can have visitors and meetings again, we can brag about our solar project when they look at our plaque. But thanks for all the people that helped on that. All right. So that could be a segue. I think we should all take a breath, sit back from your computers, and think of J-Trap.
Here.
And I know we've worked with them on the board here for 13 years. I think Jay had been on the village board, and then we've got before that he can fill in, but he was on the planning board here, and many of those years as chair. So he's had a lot of input for the growth and sustainability here in our village, and he's been a friend, a colleague, and I was sending him an email the other day saying, when we go up and down the board, we each have our strengths and talents, and we all rely on each other for little pieces of whatever their particular one is. And Jay was always the critical thinker, and I always used to get a kick out of it. And that was there, but it was mainly Jay editing the resolutions. Like he'd always find some little correctable point, nothing picky, or I'm not trying to be negative about it. It was always like he'd somehow find them. And so it was like, to me, it was like a cross between an English major and the engineer down there on
Oh, wow.
He also worked as our sergeant at arms when we had public hearings. He would read out the 3-minute rule and the rules of the road for keeping order in the building. Not that
You never gave me a gun and a badge, though, Ed.
we knew better than that, Jay. But anyway, you'd have to go to the police academy first, and but no, seriously, I think what's unique about our board is we can kick around ideas, and good ones we let rise to the surface. Other ones we can tell each other, that's a bad one, and let it sink to the bottom, and we've been part of that for a long time, and we'll be missing him. Like he said, in his personal life, it's good news for him, bittersweet for us. He's off to retirement and fishing and lakeside dwelling and warmer climates and different things.
I'll take all of those things, yes.
And I just like to say, to Jay was responsible for getting me involved with local government. And when I first moved in, I don't think I was even in the village less than a year. And he got us, my wife, both and I involved with zoning and planning. And it must have been like 14, 15 years. Jay and I worked together. Jay is chair of the planning board, and myself chair of the zoning board. And I think our major accomplishments were the NMU zone, which we wrote, the light industrial business district that we wrote. And so we were a good partner. I think we worked pretty well at zoning and planning, and we both got elected the same year, same cycle as trustees. So I think we were saying the other day, between both of us, we have about 60 years of service. And
Holy smoke.
Ouch.
so it's been a pleasure to have a neighbor like Jay, who's very easy to get a hold of and complain to, and vice versa. And always a level-headed person that we can run ideas past. And I've enjoyed working with you, Jay, and you've earned your retirement. And I hope many years of lollygagging comes your way.
Yeah.
That's very kind, man. I appreciate all that. I do remember fondly sitting on your front porch and solving you and I solving the village's problems right there on the corner of Church and Fraley, and watching people run the stop sign. So
Yeah. Favorite pastime.
Thank
Well, Jay, I want to wish you and your family all the best.
you very much.
Thank you for your help and support over all these years.
You've been there as long as most of us, or longer. It's interesting. I had sort of been musing about it today, and I said, wow, they're between the planning and the village board. There haven't been many things that I've done in my life that I've done longer than that, other than being a husband, that's in living and being a husband. But I've been near after the time that I got here. I got involved. It was a previous building inspector at a local gathering. Sort of shamed me into not stepping up to the plate. So that's when I did the Brent. I shamed him into stepping up. The way it works, Ed. Just for the record, if you want to put that in your toolbox, that's how you get people to play.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I got hooked on Red Hook 30 years ago, whatever, and we benefited. As is our habit and custom, I did the proclamation of significant service. On the business side, Joe has tendered his resignation, and what happens is, we'll get into that secondly, but while we're still on honoring him and thanking him, in it I put, I wanted to state it in a way, but the knowledge and expertise he brought to the village is and was exceptional. His service benefited the village of Red Hook and all of its residents. So as mayor, on behalf of the village of Red Hook, we extend our sincere appreciation, Jay. It's really a pleasure working with you.
Very much.
We could bang ideas around and try to condense things and get things right. But and in the end, I was resolved that a copy of this citation be transmitted to our friend and colleague, Jay Trapp. And then I put, and we'll miss you. And we will, so I confirm with Jay, he's going to keep his active cell number. So if we ever need some off the record consultation, down in but it's going to be bored without you, and we'll be thinking about you, and we'll get this conveyed to you. It won't overload your moving van or anything, so you can hang it in your fishing shack.
Just to kind of, I guess wrap up this little, section here, but it's interesting. This involvement, being in the planning and being in the village board, it has changed me, forever, and because everywhere else I'll go, I will take these experiences to help me reflect on the things that I come in contact with in the future. And, it's a new beginning that we're going toward. And Emily and I both are running, with open arms toward this new piece of our life here. We have both just recently retired, like a week and a half ago. She retired on Wednesday. I retired on Friday. And Ed, you know what it's like to be retired. You seem to be working more now than you were when you were, working.
Yeah.
And it's interesting when you leave a place, you leave something of yourself behind. You always do. And you feel like you stay there even when you've gone away. And those things that are in yourself, that you can only find some of these things again when you go back. So I will have to come back from time to time and see the pieces of me that I left.
All right. You can come back, start a new band, and we'll play on Hardscrabble Day.
There you go. There you go. I bet you can get me cheaper than Patty's mic.
Out to the Allman Brothers and different folks. It's anyway, that's a good segue though. In his discussion, the only thing he's been as loyal to is his husband to Emily, and I asked if Emily could be somewhere at his side there.
Hi, that was just lovely.
We had a separate proclamation for you, and this is with regard. Emily joined in with the Hardscrabble Committee several years ago, and started out helping Jen, and then doing more help, and then taking over a lot of components. It's been great working. We usually meet from January to September 5th, and then we'd start meeting again in October for a few meetings. But Emily was always there helping and upgrading and doing positive work for us. So we wanted to recognize her, Emily Trapp, separately from Jay, and for her commitment to the community. And again, that service benefited the village and all its residents, even though it's more on the celebratory side. But to be honest, this board and Jay and all of us, when we work, it's hard work. We do the work, but we also have fun doing it. I think, it's some days you're like, wow, this is really rough. But then it's kind of fun that we can do that local experiment, trying to improve the world one little piece at a time here in our village, and working with stuff we can control and move it out. And some of the early things started with the celebrations, trying to just get community spirit and a new energy in Red Hook. And so Jennifer was early on in the committee with that, but then Emily jumped in. And so we wanted to recognize her, and we gave her a separate proclamation again, not too much weight for the moving van, but on behalf of the village, on behalf of the village, we extend our sincere appreciation for all that help and the good vibes that you're wearing on your t-shirt there. Help bring them to
Yes, thank you. It was an honor being on the board with you guys and working with Jen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I know Jen, I know they were neighbors, so they could get together and do their planning on vendors and all the not so much fun parts sometimes, but in the end, we always had fun.
Yeah, we had.
We'll see what
So
20.
thank you.
I'm looking forward. I'm half thinking, looks like the school auditorium's done. I'd love to somehow do a COVID safe. I don't think it's possible. But we could break it in with some live music and a fun show, but who knows when.
Well, that's at least the place where you're going to have, if you have rain, at least.
Yeah, we'll have that as an option.
That's great.
It was always fun working with both of you, and of course Jay we knew longer and did more with. But thanks to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.
In our world, we happen to be elected officials, and there's a serious side to that too. So with Jay's departure, what it does, I circulated something. There's a section of Village Law, Section 3-312, where Jay has offered his resignation because by rule, once he no longer lives or owns property, well, I should be characterized that. Once he's no longer a resident of Red Hook, he can no longer be on the elected board position he holds. So the law in village law, New York state law, enables the mayor to then go seek an appointment. And as usual, I try to do things by consensus, so I've floated it by folks individually. Let me just unmute the person I've selected. Not that he's a noisy guy, but I was trying to kill some of the background noise before. But I've mentioned that Jay has to resign, which he's done formally. He submitted a letter to myself and the clerk. He's picked midnight on November 12. So that means at 12:01, we only have a board of 4. And we do plan to have a workshop next week, a week from Thursday. So I'd like to get us going. We have somebody ready, willing, and able to work. I'll announce it's going to be Will Noonan. He'll be filling the seat of Jay Trapp. We got to know Will actually through the Hardscrabble Committee. He jumped in maybe 3 years ago and proved a good field man out on the road, helping promote and come to meetings. And he did what he said he would do. He comes from a background where he's got some credentials and components to his personality that I think will enhance the village board right now, especially in the times we're in. He's also of an age where he's retired, so he has some time where he's not fighting the day job conflict versus the village work requirements. So I had a short list, talked to a bunch of folks, and worked out that I would go with Will. Like I said, the advantage of being the mayor is that we don't need income. It's not like certain other events. Like I said, just to be fair to everybody, I did talk to each one of you separately. It really seemed like it was a fit that made sense and a fit that would work. So utilizing the powers of the mayor, what I would say is effective 12/01.
There's some, Ed, I'm sorry. I can't hear you. Is anybody else getting that interruption?
Yeah, I'm getting it.
Someone's
Is there an earthquake or something going on?
Yeah, so,
So I'm sorry, I'm not sure how much you missed, but maybe I'm fiddling with something here. But anyway, Jay resigns midnight 12 November, and then so
Okay.
12/01 November, I intend that I will be hereby appointing Will Noonan to fill the vacant seat. And then that, for all your information, runs until the spring series of village elections. So we'll have 2 seats up by general cycle rule. And then that third new vacancy also comes up in that cycle. So Will's aware of that, and it'd be his choice, but odds are he would run for the office too. So it'll give us some help we need. Will comes from a background with human services and part of his credentials for many, many years, and then also with union negotiations and union representation. I think a few of those are really important. A few of those items are really important right now because we'll be working with the police redesign, and there will be some union components, and personnel, human services components are part of the redesign. And I think he'll bring a good bit of talent and skill and time to the effort. So I congratulate Jay for his service and welcome Will. I think in the spirit of our board, like I said, it's not necessary that we move, but if the board would feel, I think it'd be welcoming to Will to acknowledge that we have conferred, and I explained to them why he'd be a good fit. And I would just like to make a record that the board has no objection, even though it is within the village law, section 3-312, to do it this way. But Will, with that being said, I unmuted you. You don't have to give a speech or anything, but you could say hello. I think you've met many of the board members at different informal situations, but are you out there, Will?
I am here, and thank you. The first thing I want to say is, Jay, I want your phone number.
No, nobody gets my phone number.
I'll give you mine, though. I'll send vibes.
You're on your own, brother.
But, I can call you.
Fine.
Well, I appreciate the honor. Thank you. I know I'm filling some big shoes, so
Yeah, good.
do the best we can.
Yeah, and Jay, he will sit with Will separately in some safe format and update him on a lot more. But I've been copying in on him on some of the issues and big projects we're in the middle of, just so he comes into it with some information and some basis to get more active. But again, like we said, so effective 12/01 on 13 November, Will be the 5th board member. And Will, you should come in and see the clerk. There's an oath book where you have to sign an oath. And then we'll expect you to show up at our Zoom-based workshop meeting. I think it's on 16 November. I'll have to look at a calendar. I'll get the Ring Central invite out. But welcome.
I'll drop off my key fob for you.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's maybe.
Thank you.
There probably are some logistics where you should come in, Jay, but we have that part. We have the letter from you. But I'm looking forward to it. Like we said, it's bittersweet. One man's moving on and the person's coming in. And,
Will, you're going to be just fine, brother.
Thanks, Jay.
We want people that are.
Emily, Jay, have a great time.
You bet.
South Carolina?
You bet.
Yeah.
Where?
Lake Murray in Leesville, South Carolina.
Very nice.
It's about this big. Leesville's a little tiny thing like that.
Just like Red Hook.
Smaller than Red Hook? Or?
Yep, it feels like I'm going to a southern Red Hook. Red Hook with a twang.
We have family in Somerville.
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
we know it.
Know Somerville very well.
Yeah. Well, good luck to y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks everybody. We'll move on to the next agenda item. Not too heavy a deal, but Lara number something, resolution 23 of 2020. I'll explain it, and maybe we'll make Trap do a little more work before he signs up.
Oh, dear God.
But background is we had one village credit card in the name of our retired treasurer, and looking to extend it or modify it, we realized, unknown to anybody, and we would never have done this in our administration, but it actually required the personal liability of that person. as a part of the card basis, which was not acceptable, and we would never do that. So we hunted around for some card options, and that existing card was an American Express card. You'll see that appear in the resolution. So we've worked, like Ray reports, we have some accounts at Key Bank and we have some at M&T Bank. We looked at Key. They didn't offer anything but a purchasing card, they called it, but you had to move $100,000 a year through their purchasing card. And we're not geared and we're not going to do that. M&T offered us something. It'll actually be a Visa card. What we want to do is everything regarding credit card is really limited. It's really an emergency type card where if somebody in staff needs something that's only available through internet online purchase or something, but it's very rare that we use it. It's not our routine. Like, you know, our vouchers and our procurement system are designed for a different method of purchasing and payment. But there's those few and far between occasions that comes up that we need to have it. So we're going to, the suggestion in my opinion, we create one in the mayor's name, one in the treasurer's name, and one in the clerk's name. They'll all be locked and guarded by those persons. No staff member can get them without coming with a specific request and clearance. And you'll notice when each month when we do vouchers, you see the American Express will pay certain types of expenses, but it's never a big component of our operating method. You know, I think I keep putting my paper over my computer. I think that's what's killing the noise or making the noise. So Jay, would you be so kind?
Yes, resolution number
23.
23.
Yes.
Resolution number 23, 2020. Village credit card, Village of Red Hook and M&T Bank. Resolution dated November 9, 2020, authorizing the closing out of an American Express credit card and conversion to a credit card with M&T Bank. Whereas the Village of Red Hook needs the ability to make online purchases of necessary items, and its designated officers periodically need to cover operational, travel, or education expenses for them or staff. Whereas the credit card transactions are infrequently but necessary for the village to perform, but necessary for the village to perform and make certain purchases or transactions. Whereas the village procurement policy guides any and all purchases. Whereas the current credit card was in the name of the retired treasurer and was to expire at the end of October 2020. American Express only offers small business accounts that bind the named person with liability. Whereas M&T Bank offers a credit card plan at an interest rate consistent with the competition that best meets the needs of the village. Therefore, be it resolved, the Village of Red Hook authorizes as follows. Number one, the closing and non-renewal of the existing American Express card. Number two, the completion of transactions to obtain the M&T Bank credit card. Number three, mayor and or treasurer are authorized to sign the required documents for 3 cards. Mayor, treasurer, and clerk with limits of $5,000 each and subject to all internal procurement policy requirements and duties. Number four, the faith and credit card of the Village of Red Hook are hereby pledged for the payment credit card transactions in accord with monthly processes. And there we go.
Yeah, I see in number 4, I should insert the word of hereby pledged for the payment of credit card transactions in accord with monthly processes. So I'm going to insert the word of there. Jay's so busy reading, he didn't pick up on the...
I'll let you go on that one, Ed.
So it's really just, like I said, operational, and the M&T card doesn't hold the same personal liability aspect to the name holder. Anyway, Jay read it. I described it beforehand. I would move that we adopt Resolution 23, and what we would do is send this off to M&T Bank so we can continue with the filing and get the card here sooner rather than later. So I offer it. Is there a second?
Second.
And any other discussion or thoughts? I'll just do a good roll call since it's cleaner. Blondell, yes. Norris,
Yes.
Kowalczyk,
Yes.
Lang,
Yes.
and Chaparity. Well, he seconded.
Yes.
All righty. Thank you for that. Next thing on agenda was police redesign update. Tomorrow, Tuesday, I do another call with the Dutchess County-based collaborative, which is all the various municipalities, active working police agencies. We speak routinely. And we mentioned last meeting, we had on September 26th, the community forum #1, and we listed some of the points that came up as concern, ideas, issues, and we read them out loud for each other, and they've been circulated. Two that are jumping out to me, one is body cameras. I mentioned it goes from two angles. One, it protects the public, but it also protects the officers in situations that we need documentation from that perspective. We've tasked the sergeant to look at it, and we're also working with the county to see if they have any shared cooperative buying options that might make it make sense, and or leasing options. Right now, you might recall we use in our police vehicles radios, and in our highway vehicles, some are leased. One of my current inclinations is to look at leasing options, because like we found with the water meters, technology changes, different things happen, and maybe we don't want to be locked into owning. But I've tasked Sergeant with getting some pricing together, and we'll keep looking at it. But I'd like to define it as part of one of the outcomes we're going to look at with redesign, and get it as part of our operating procedures. The downside is, we have to look at the hardware side, meaning servers and storage and incredibly dense files coming in every day with if and when they turn on your cameras. So we have to look at that, and that's part of the cost projections, of course, whether you're leasing or buying and so forth. But that'd be one thing. And then I know at each of our meetings, we talked recently about the civil service change and the county level, where they will be enabling high school diploma only for the base level job applicant qualification. That did get adopted by the county back on October 26th. I did point out that we are not really totally in agreement with that, and still are not, but it didn't go to any kind of county legislative vote. It just somehow it's just an administrative change where the Department of Human Resources, which actually operates the civil service for the County of Dutchess, adopted it. So it's in force right now. Another thing I think I'd like for all of us to consider is whenever we interview new hires and talk with police management, we talk about community policing, and I think we're going to have to consider some in-shift requirement of walking duty somehow in the union or policy manual or somewhere. Get that more formally defined and logged into our operating premise. As much as we talk about it and want it, I think we're gonna have to make it more formal. So those are a few things that are coming out of it so far. What I'd like to do is, like I said, we're gonna hold our workshop on Thursday, a week from now, and I'll have the Tuesday meeting under my belt. We can talk a little more about that aspect, just what's coming up as far as the documents and policy reviews coming out of the county. Like, they've been looking at the different policy provisions of all the agencies with particular attention to use of deadly force. And so we'll be looking at that together, all of us. That's the current update on it. Anybody have any thoughts or questions or anything right now? Another, I think, kind of segue, the next item is website civic space option, and I put for interaction. Right now we use, it's a relatively new website, does Civic Plus, and I've given myself a forced course last week to see how to insert and put in certain information on there. What was interesting about it is I happened to stumble into a seminar webinar and I came and partook of it. They have a sister company, they call it Civic Space. And I thought it really segued into our current COVID world and even with our police project. I've asked them to give us some pricing. It's a very project-oriented but interactive software enhancement where you can actually put a lot of stuff up on the website and have surveys and folks comment and different things. It's seemed, at first we were getting a lot of participation in our remote meetings, but looking at the list now, it looks like it's mainly us and our professional admin staff that work with us. Somehow, we, especially with this police project, we have to really get a lot of buy-in and a lot of community interaction. I didn't get the pricing yet. I don't think it's going to be super expensive, but hopefully maybe by the workshop, we could look at that. But it seems like if you wanted to Google, I wrote a Civic Space. It sounds like it'd be a module that gets added to Civic Plus. And it seemed like it had a lot of items and components that we might want to utilize. And I don't see us having live meetings, in-person, face-to-face meetings. I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but maybe March, April, somewhere after the winter breaks. I don't have any inside super information on that, but I'd like to be able to offer people as much participation as we can. And with our new arrivals and demographics, more and more high-tech components seem to be the trick and the way to get to talk to people. So I'll keep you filled in on that one.
Ed, is there anyone who's administering our website as far as putting in additional information and updating what we have? You're the one?
We could talk personnel, I think, next week, but it's
All right.
that's why I took a crash course in how to do it. So
All right.
but we did have somebody, but there's some change underway. Anyway, in Brent's reports, he talked about water sewer planning. The key things are we will be owning a sewer plant. What Brent reported was we've essentially closed on the transaction in escrow with the contingent on all parties that we have to get that green light from the USDA to go to bid. Once that happens, we are going to be in the business. And I've reached out to VRI, who operates the plant now for the current owner, and they're also our water operator. So they've given me some quotes. And there are numbers we knew from when we budgeted and did all our planning with the intention to take over the plant. So no surprises there and so forth. But I can share that all with you. It just came into me the other day, I think Friday actually. But it's in that $20,000, $21,000 a year range for them to operate and do all the DEC reporting and the sampling and so forth. And that's precisely where we pegged it in our budget projections, so it's a good thing. So we'll have to work on that, and essentially just what I envision once the board decides is we would just, once we take ownership, authorize them to then operate on our behalf and do the reporting on our behalf. Like Brent's been reporting, we have all the speedies permits, everything's lined up, but we're going to be in that business. One piece of it is the current main user right now will be billing that user, which is Red Hook Commons, the senior project. So we're going to have to modify with our software people to get billing to move out every quarter with the water billing. We're going to be in that business. So it's, and we still, as much as we've been working on water, Brent and I, on a lot of Fridays, we're pushing ZRI and related companies, and we're pushing our engineers. We're trying to find that one model where we keep the cash flow, we have all these meters working properly, and we're totally utilizing our modern capabilities, software and the meter capabilities. I think we have to brainstorm it some more. I have some more ideas, but I think it's more of a workshop type setting where we'll throw things up and see what but so if you could put your minds on water for the Thursday, a week from now, what you see and what you think. I know some of you aren't in the day-to-day trenches of it, but it's a software we're really capable of a lot, but somehow we've not been quite using everything to its full capacity, and we got to straighten that out. Ranging from like the meter changes and how we can explain why we couldn't read well levels. We should have known that we couldn't do that, and we have to get that fixed. Anyway, we've gotten through department committee reports and the regular business I had listed there. I don't see any public comment, at least on my participant screens. Before we do that, if nobody's out there, any board members with any particular item on your mind or point you'd like to kick around with us? I think looking over, I wasn't keeping totally up on my checklist here, but I think we got everything. And we have the vouchers out. I think we got a majority of the board in to sign them. And what we can do is make that normal motion where I would move that we pay the month's bills after audit. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then we should again sit back, trap in his clean room. Should we like give you a police escort out of town or anything? Or,
just you run me out of town on a rail. That's what you're going to do. I know it. No, I just wanted to say I will miss all of you guys, and I have thoroughly enjoyed this whole process and working with you guys, the people that have come and the people that have gone through the board, knee slapping Dave Seymour, and all the other folks that Brent, that you and I have come in contact with, Junior Coons and Tim Thayer and Mayor Earl LaBrile. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We had some interesting characters, we did.
Well, I think we all take it seriously. We've moved it up to the 21st century. We'll keep working. We're underway.
I expect nothing less of you guys. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to kick some butt if you guys aren't working hard up here.
We'll continue trying to ban that heliport so you won't be able to come up in the heliport.
Hey, that's how I'm coming back. What are you doing?
Yeah, that provides Jay more opportunities to visit.
There you go.
Anyway, we tease what the Rhinebeck Aerodrome is, the Red Hook Air Force, we'll be patrolling the skies and keeping you out.
That's right.
Anyway, well, it's like we said, bittersweet signing off. It's usually not as final for one of our folks, but fortunately he has his health, and he has his lake house. So we can be great work, Jay. And with that, I'd ask Mr. Brent, do you want to do your motion to end the meeting?
I certainly would. I would like to make a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting and bid farewell to Trustee Trout, and wish him all the best and good luck and happy health, and say hi to Gina when you get down there.
I'll do that.
Safe travels, Jay.
Thank you very much. It's a long trip.
Yeah.
Have a good one, Jay.
Right.
Take care. Thank you all very much.
Okay,
Bye,
so
Jay.
Brent made a motion. I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Everybody, bon voyage, trap. Okay.
Bye, Jay.
Bye, guys.